Hi, this is Hinojosa from Choose Positive, and today it is my pleasure to have such a bright light, Jessica Ortner. Hi, Jess. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome to Choose
Hi, Ellen. Thank
Positive.
you so much for having me.
No, it is our pleasure. So, for those who are not familiar with your work, I would like to quickly read your bio, if that's okay. Okay, so author of the New York Times best-selling book and Amazon.com #1 bestseller, The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. Jessica healed her relationship with her body through tapping. She has led over 3,000 women through her online weight loss and body confidence program and is producer of the groundbreaking documentary film The Tapping Solution. She is also host of the annual online event, the Tapping World Summit, which has been attended by more than 500,000 people around the world. She has also broadcasted more than 200 interviews with personal development experts. Jessica is a rising star that teaches, writes, and leads truly from the heart. So,
Thank you.
no, thank you, Jess. And so, the intention for this interview is to give an introduction to what tapping is and how it can help us with body confidence and weight loss. So,
Absolutely.
so I would like to divide the interview into two parts. The first one is choose change from within. And the second one will be choose tapping. And in that one we can go over a tapping meditation maybe. So starting with choose change from within, we would love it if you could share with us your story. So your struggle and how you change from the inside out.
Absolutely. So I'm going to focus this story on my most recent book, which is, as you mentioned, The Tapping Solution for Weight Loss and Body Confidence. And I struggled with my weight since I turned 15. And I always thought that I could hate myself skinny. I thought if I was just hard on myself and that if I was more disciplined, then maybe I would get results. And I just thought the way to get the success I wanted was to be really hard on myself. And that strategy never worked because what would end up happening was I would start a diet or an exercise program and I'd be really hard on myself. And then it got to the point where I just couldn't take it anymore and I'd go right back to old patterns. And doing all these different programs and diets made me realize that I really needed to do the work within in order to get the results on the outside. And that's when I began to start to really look at my world differently and look at ways to get results differently. I had been putting my life on hold because of the weight. I thought I couldn't date because of it. I couldn't get on stage. I couldn't really have the life I wanted to have. And suddenly my weight it had become my biggest excuse for not shining my own light. And the moment I said, you know what, I don't want that to be my excuse anymore. I want to begin to start to love my body, to feel confident in the body that I'm in. I realized that we take care of what we value. So if you have a really nice car that you value, you're not going to let it get dirty. You're going to give it some good gas. And the more we begin to value ourselves, the easier it is to make healthy choices because those healthy choices don't feel like a burden anymore. They feel like a way that we honor ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the transition that I really made. But if it wasn't for tapping, I wouldn't have been able to do it because we all hear about loving ourselves. We all hear about body confidence. We know it's something that we should have. But the reality is it's hard because we have all of these expectations put on us and all of this pressure. So when you begin to bring in a stress relief technique while you're doing the work inside, that's what makes the change possible instead of feeling like you're always kind of fighting upstream.
Right. So yeah, from the inside out. And just for those who are not familiar with tapping, can you please explain a little bit? Just give a brief introduction to what is it?
Yes, absolutely. So tapping looks very funny. It is not tap dancing.
Right.
It is tapping on different acupressure points that are on your face and on your chest. So here are a few of them. The way that tapping works is when you have an anxiety, as you know, Ale, it's not just in your head. You feel it with your whole body. Suddenly you feel that tension in your stomach, pressure in your chest. You're trying to think positively, but your whole body feels like it's really tense. Because when we have an emotion, we feel it with our whole body. So we need a stress relief technique that incorporates our body. So when we are feeling this anxiety that's triggered by a thought in our head, it creates this physical anxiety. So what we want to do is get very clear on the thought that's creating the physical anxiety. So it could be, the thought could be, I'm disappointing my boss, or, I'm not good enough, or, thinking about a wedding that you have to attend, or getting on stage and feeling that tension in your body. You think about whatever thought creates that tension. Once you get clear on that thought, you begin to stimulate these acupressure points. And by calming your body while you're thinking that disempowering thought, you send a calming signal from your body to your brain, letting your brain know that even though you're having this thought, it's safe for you to relax. And from that place, then we can be resourceful, we can be logical, we can think clearly, and we can find solutions to our challenges. But when we are caught up in that panic, we can never find a solution. You can't panic your way to change. You can't panic your way to a solution. A lot of people mention that they get the best ideas when they're in the shower. Why? It's because we're relaxed. So the more relaxed we can feel, even when things aren't perfect, the better ability we have to make some real change.
That is so true. That is so true, Jess. And for tapping for weight loss and body confidence, we understand about the part of the stress that is related to weight loss. But how is it? Why is it so helpful for this specific issue that is weight loss and body confidence?
Absolutely. Well, the thing when it comes to the journey to lose weight and to love your body more, it is a journey. And that's why I was able to write a book that's this big about it, because you have to look at different elements that might be holding you back. I talk about two main reasons why it's so important to incorporate if you want to lose weight and feel more comfortable in your body. One is, many of us know that stress creates an overproduction of a hormone called cortisol, which is directly linked to belly fat. So here we are panicking to lose weight, and that very panic that we feel creates a hormonal cocktail that makes it very difficult for our body to let go of the weight. The second reason is, as many people know, that food can often become our anti-anxiety medication. When we are stressed out, we suddenly want those sugary carbohydrates. So if we can find a different way to manage stress, we won't have the same cravings. And then, we go even deeper within this book, talking about exercise. Sure, we know that we need to exercise, but many of us hate it, and we don't really know why. And if you begin to dig deeper, a lot of times you have negative associations to exercise. If you see a little kid, they're not exercising, they're just moving. It's called movement. It's the feeling of joy, they're playing. And suddenly we go to school, and then we have gym. And all of a sudden there's first place and last place. There's good and bad. There's competition, there's pressure. And that joy of movement suddenly becomes a way that we judge ourselves. So we begin to work out, and all of a sudden we are judging ourselves. I'm not good enough. This is hopeless. I'm so out of shape. I'm not good at this. And all of that emotional pressure, that heaviness we feel emotionally, makes it very difficult for us to have a pleasurable experience with exercise. And one of the things that I say in my book is, if it's not pleasurable, it's not sustainable. So if you have these strict diets and this strict way of exercising, it might work for 1 or 2 weeks. It might work right after New Year's, during your New Year's resolution. But then you're going to fall off that wagon because you're not enjoying yourself. So in order to begin to create a new relationship with movement, a new relationship with food, a new relationship with ourselves, we have to begin to ask questions that invite us to look within, to understand why we look at life a certain way, and then having this technique to help clear those blocks is incredibly effective.
Right. And you talk about, in the book, you talk about the pattern of panic, and how when we find ourselves in that pattern, tapping can be really useful. Jess, could you just explain a little bit further that concept?
Yeah, so the pattern of panic is a pattern that many people run, and this is what it looks like. So you find yourself in front of the mirror, and maybe you have an event to go to, or maybe you see a picture of yourself, and all of a sudden you begin to panic and you think, I look horrible. I can't believe that's my body. And you begin to panic and you go, okay, I'm going to start a diet. I'm going to start working out. Something needs to change. Yeah. And so with that panic, you start to push and push and push. And you start to do this very strict plan that you created for yourself.
Yeah. And sometimes we even have a very strict timeline or,
of when it needs to happen. Yeah. Right. It's just full-blown panic. And maybe after 1 week, the panic helps a little bit because maybe you drop a pound. But the panic never lasts. Either we get exhausted when it comes to beating ourselves up and trying to push our way to lose weight, or something else grabs our attention and we go right back to old habits until something else triggers us again. We feel all of this panic and we begin again to panic our way to try to find a solution. Mm-hmm. And that pattern never works. I mentioned before, you can't hate yourself skinny. You can't criticize yourself thin. If you really want change, it needs to start with self-love and self-care. It sounds corny, but it is the key to having long-term results. And so in that moment when we feel panic, that's when we need to really center ourselves, because health isn't a destination. This body that we're living in, we always have to take care of it. We're always going to have to move in some way. We're always going to have to nurture it. It's not a 10-day detox. It's called life. And so we need to find a way to create a relationship with our body where every day we can feel centered and in a space where we find pleasure taking care of ourselves. And one of the first steps is to begin to tap whenever we feel that overwhelming panic. Because when you let go of the panic, you can be clear. You can be resourceful. You can decide, you know what, I need some extra support. I'm going to ask my friend to encourage me to maybe work out 3 times a week. Listen, exercise and food is important, but if we make it this really difficult thing and we make it really hard, it's not sustainable. So when you feel calm, it's much easier to begin to look at your life and to create a strategy that works for you, because we are all unique individuals. Some of us are mothers. If you're a mother, the way that you take care of yourself is going to be very different than someone who doesn't have kids. Yeah. But when you're calm and centered, you're able to find what works best for you.
Yeah, that's so true, Jess. And same happens with emotional eating, right? There is a story that I loved that you tell in your book, and I would love it if you could share it with everyone watching. It's the Gelato Story, because I think it really nails the point. So if you could please share it with us.
Absolutely. You will love this story. So I was struggling with my weight and with my body confidence, and I was living in New York City, and a good friend of mine who is a famous author, and this was way before I had come out with my book. She told me that there was this place in New York City, and if you want to know where it is, it's on 6th Avenue in Bleecker. It's one of the best gelato places, and she said, you have to go. They have the best chocolate gelato you'll ever have. So we went to this gelato place, and I ordered what she had. So she ordered, and I said, I'll have one of those, because she knew what was good. And we took the gelato, and we sat out in the park, and we were eating it and looking at the fountain. And she suddenly breaks the silence by saying, do you know that we're eating 2 different things? And I said, no, we're not eating 2 different things. We're both eating, I ordered the same thing that you ordered. And she goes, no, I'm eating gelato. You're eating guilt. This is going to go through me. That guilt is going to stick to you. And I realized that the emotions that we feel when we eat create a real effect on our body with the way that we process foods. And now there is a lot of science coming out about the way that emotions impact us, especially when we eat. And so that made me begin to realize that even when I did want to give myself a treat, I felt so much guilt. And it was so important for me to take the emotions out of food, to make sure that whatever I'm eating, whatever I feel when I'm eating that emotion. So if you're feeling guilty, you're eating guilt. If you're feeling love and gratitude, that is what you're consuming. So as we begin to eat our food and we look at our plate, don't just notice what you're eating, but notice how you're feeling. And ask yourself, are these feelings fueling me or holding me back?
Yeah, I love that, Jess. Thank you so much for sharing that. And tapping is great, as you've been talking about, for releasing those emotions and just, making us feel calmer so that we can enjoy our food in this case for weight loss.
Yes,
So
and even tapping after. I recommend tapping before so you make great decisions that you feel good about. But if you ever had a moment where you really found yourself binge eating and you're beating yourself up, that beating yourself up doesn't stop the pattern. We have to start with forgiveness and with love and with understanding, and to begin to replace self-criticism with curiosity. Because when we can tap after we did something that we feel guilty about and feel calm, then we can ask ourselves questions and begin to gain clarity as to why we've been running that pattern in the first place. And once we have that understanding, it's easier for us to make a shift.
great, Jess. And what if, so if some people are wondering, what if I don't have time to tap just before or just after, I binge ate or something? They can do it right in the evening or in the morning or just whenever,
Yes.
right?
Yes, and this is the great thing about tapping is that we're not talking about sitting for an hour in silence. It is about giving yourself 5 or 10 minutes to connect with your body and to begin to let go of that anxiety and any stress. And even on the tappingsolution.com on my website, everyone that visits can download a free tapping in the morning and evening meditation for stress relief. And it's only about 10 or 15 minutes, and that's all you need to really begin to emotionally align yourself to what you really want.
Yeah, that's great. And that takes us very nicely into the second part of the interview, which is choose tapping.
Yes.
And for that, Jess, I would love it if we could first go over of if you could briefly explain what are the tapping points so that then we can do a tapping meditation.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start with the very first point. And for all those who are watching, I hope that you tap along with us. And the first point is the side of the hand, and it's called the karate chop point.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter what side of the body you tap on. So whichever side you want, this is the first point. The next point is the eyebrow point. So you want to take 2 fingers and tap where the hair begins on your eyebrow. Perfect. Then the next point is you follow the bone until you're on the side of the eye, and this is the side of the eye point. Then underneath the eye on the bone. And again, if you're watching, I hope you're tapping along. This is the best way to learn.
Exactly.
The next point is underneath the nose. Then we have the chin point, which is the crease between the lower lip and the chin.
Uh-huh.
Yep, you got it. And then the collarbone point. So if you feel that U shape underneath your throat, and if you go down an inch and over an inch, you're going to hit it on either side. If you're not sure if you're getting it right, you could just use your whole hand and tap on your chest and you'll hit it.
Okay.
And then the next point is underneath the arm, and it is a hand width from your armpit. So for women, yeah, you got it. It's right where your bra strap lies. And then on top of your head. And I always joke that this looks like a very funny point. You do look like a monkey, but it is very effective. And this is what's really great about learning these points is now everyone knows where the points are. You use the same points no matter what you're dealing with. And so once you get comfortable with these 9 points, it's very easy for you to begin to incorporate tapping yourself.
Right. And some of the, I've been practicing tapping, Jess, and some of the, well, one thing that I find sometimes a little bit that stops me from tapping is I sometimes stop and say, well, what am I going to say?
Yes.
When I tap. So I love it that you, in your book and in your website, you always have this tapping scripts that we can follow, especially when we are starting with this, because then we get inspired and we can do our own. But
Yes.
to follow something, to have a guide, that I love what you have. So if we could do one of the tapping scripts, maybe since we're talking about weight loss and body confidence, so maybe we can do one for cravings, or which one do you think would be most useful for everyone watching?
We can do something for cravings for sure. That's a really fun one. And so let me just explain how the process works. So we know where the points are, right? And then the next thing that you need to know is what to say, which you asked. And a lot of people are confused as to how do I tap on my own? Well, let me start with the setup statement. The setup statement is how you set up the process, is how you begin. And it's by tapping on the side of the hand, you say, even though, and you say the problem. So even though I have this craving, I accept accept myself and how I feel, or I love and accept myself. Now, for many people, they hear this and they're like, why would I want to say that? Because I really want to move past this. I don't want to accept it. I want to break through.
Right.
And we have a lot of misperception. We have a lot of confusion around what it means to accept a behavior. What we resist persists. Mm-hmm. So as you fight against this behavior, it tends to lock it in place. And the moment that you can say, even though this is how I'm feeling, even though this is going on, I accept myself, or I'm okay, we suddenly are able to release all the judgment we have around having the problem. It opens us up to doing the rest of the tapping. And then when you tap on the rest of the points, we go back to what I mentioned earlier, which is getting very clear on the thought that's creating the stressful anxiety in your body. And so if you're tapping on your own, one of the things I suggest is pretend that you're speaking to a girlfriend, to a friend, and you're complaining about something. Mm-hmm. This is not about positive affirmations. This is about giving yourself the freedom to really say, this is how I feel, instead of fighting it, instead of pushing it down until it manifests into a headache. Uh-huh. And so we give it a voice, and we can say the same word over and over again, or we can tell a story. It's not about the words. It's about feeling what we want to clear, what we want to release. Okay. So let's do something on cravings. Now, for those who are watching, you might have a craving for chocolate, or maybe it's something salty, but I want you to think about it now. So if it's chocolate, think of the chocolate, think of the way that it tastes, the texture, the pleasure from it. If it's something salty, imagine the crunchiness. Really notice it, have an experience, imagine what that tastes like, and notice your craving. And maybe your craving's going up now that I'm tempting you with these thoughts. It
is.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, give yourself a number. So 10 being a really strong craving, 1 you don't really want it at all. You feel 1 is feeling very indifferent to it. And so we're going to tap on a chocolate craving, and I'll give you an idea of what the tapping looks like. So for everyone that's watching, give yourself a number, and then begin to tap with me and repeat after me. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect. So on the side of the hand, even though I really want this chocolate.
Even though I really want this chocolate.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
And I choose to feel calm and confident.
And I choose to feel calm and confident.
Even though I really want this chocolate right now.
Even though I really want this chocolate right now.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
And it's safe to relax now.
And it's safe to relax now.
Even though I really want this chocolate right now.
Even though I really want this chocolate right now.
I accept how I feel.
I accept how I feel.
And I choose to relax.
And I choose to relax.
Okay, eyebrow point. I really want this chocolate.
I really want this chocolate.
Side of the eye. It looks so good.
It looks so good.
Under the eye, this chocolate.
This chocolate.
Under the nose, this craving for chocolate.
This craving for chocolate.
Chin, I feel it in my whole body.
I feel it in my whole body.
Collarbone, and I just want it now.
And I just want it now.
Under the arm, this chocolate.
This chocolate.
Top of the head, I want it now.
I want it now.
Eyebrow, this craving.
This craving.
Side of the eye, what am I really craving?
What am I really craving?
Under the eye, I'm craving pleasure.
I'm craving pleasure.
Under the nose, I'm craving a way to relax.
I'm craving a way to relax.
Chin, and I allow myself to relax now.
And I allow myself to relax now.
Collarbone, I can eat this chocolate.
I can eat this chocolate.
Under the arm, or not eat this chocolate.
Or not eat this chocolate.
Top of the head, I am in control.
I am in control.
And I do what's best for me.
And I do what's best for me.
Okay, take a deep breath in. Yeah.
That felt so good.
Great. So everyone who's watching this, notice, check in with the number. Has it gone down? Has it stayed the same? Did you have any other thoughts come up? A great question to ask yourself while you're tapping on a craving is, what am I really craving? Because many times we're not craving chocolate. We're craving a way to relax. We're craving a way to escape. We're craving some pleasure. And so if we can begin to understand that our craving is not our enemy, but simply a messenger saying, I need more pleasure in my life. I need a way to relax. We can begin to listen to that real craving and find ways for pleasure and ways to relax that are better for us. And let me tell you, Ale, I love chocolate and I'll always eat chocolate. And I think people should always eat chocolate. But the difference is when you have a craving, you have no control and you eat too much. And a lot of times you're not even in your body. Suddenly you look at the empty wrapper and you go, who just ate the chocolate? I don't even remember. And so by being in control, you can decide to eat it or not eat it. You're in control, not the craving.
Exactly. That's wonderful. And that's what's so great about tapping. It frees us from all that emotional eating, from the panic, from the, craving for love or for pleasure for other things, and just let us enjoy our food. Jess, so thank you so much for being here and for this exercise, and for most of all for sharing your story with women everywhere, because I think by sharing it, you're empowering us, you're empowering women to really choose self-love, to choose to self-care instead of weight gain and having a bad body confidence. Jess, and so for more information about your work, people can visit either jessica-ortner.com or thetappingsolution.com.
Exactly. At thetappingsolution.com if you want to get that free tapping meditation.
Perfect, Jess. And so thank you. And I want to thank you also for your book. It's really, really amazing. And it's not just only beautifully written, but it's full of, honesty. So we can really tell that you wrote it with an open heart. And that's what I love about you, Jess. So thank you so much for being here today. And we look forward to having you again here, sharing more of these wonderful tapping meditations.
I would love that. Thank you so much.
Me encantaría saber cuál ha sido tu experiencia o qué preguntas tienes. Por favor, déjanos un comentario aquí abajo. Y si te gustó este video, por favor compártelo con tus familiares y amigos. La buena vibra es contagiosa. Muchas gracias por ser parte de Choose Positive. Soy Ale Hinojosa y nos vemos pronto.